Hi everyone, Flora here. So recently actually for the last 2 months, I have been doing free strategy sessions for all of you who have wanted my help in, figuring out where you are, where you want to be, and how to get where you want to go very quickly. And one of the things that I keep hearing from all of you is that you have this kind of fear about the what if, like, well, what if this happens? Well, what if this happens? And oh my gosh, and there's all these questions. And so you have this kind of fear of failure of setting these goals for your business or for your life. And so what I do is we go there. I'm like, okay, so what's the worst that could possibly happen? And then we talk about that and we dig into it and we explore it. And for some people, it's a little uncomfortable, and that's absolutely okay. And then once we explore the worst case scenario, then we look at, okay, so what's the best that could happen? And then we look at all the great things that could happen with your life or your business. Then I say, okay, now what do you want? And the thing about going there or looking at worst case scenario, best case scenario, it takes the charge out of it. And then you can say, okay, so now that I'm prepared for worst case scenario and an action plan for if that happens, and then best case scenario, now what do I want? Because when that fear, that worst case scenario, best case scenario is out of the picture and that charge is out, then you can say, with a neutral kind of mindset of, well, now I know what's really possible, and then you can create that doable plan of action. So what is your goal for 2019? What is your goal? I want you to write it down. If you haven't already, we're at the end of January. I think we've got, 1 day left? So what is your goal for 2019? I want you to write it down right now. You can put it in the comments if you want to. And then I want you to write out, what is the worst case scenario? So let's just say that you want to get out of debt. So worst case scenario at the end of the year is you're deeper in debt. Okay, so what would happen if you got deeper in debt? What would happen if you not only got deeper in debt, but lost your job? Okay, maybe you got fired. If you got fired, then you could get unemployment. So look at worst case scenario. So then what would happen if you lost your job and you were deeper in debt? Okay, let's go there. Let's really dig and explore that. Like, what would that look like? Would you have to ask for help? Would you need to be very creative with the resources that you have? Would you maybe move in with family? Like, what would that look like? And then what's the best case scenario is you get out of debt and you actually have a surplus of money that you can use to invest in maybe a retirement plan, maybe in a new vehicle, whatever. So worst case, best case. So let's look at losing weight. So worst case scenario, you don't lose weight. Another worst case scenario, maybe you gain more weight. Even worst case scenario is maybe you gain weight and find out that you're diabetic because of the weight. Okay, so best case scenario, you lose the weight and you keep it off, okay? So when you look at best case, worst case, what happens is you're just like, oh my God. So worst case, so some people are like, okay, well, don't just leave me hanging with the worst case. Okay, so let's just say that you gain weight and you end up diabetic. So then what would your plan of action be if that happened? Well, probably work with a dietitian to start, cutting out carbohydrates, maybe go on a keto diet, maybe go on medication for a little bit to help with your weight or to help with your blood sugar, maybe start working out. And so then, okay, flip that to the best case scenario, you lose the weight. So with that fear kind of addressed and looking at, okay, so worst case scenario, I don't get any clients this year, or I gain weight, or I'm still in debt. All those things. Go there. Some people say, well, how is that spiritual to go to that negative space? Well, it's only negative if you choose to perceive it as negative, okay? Debt serves a purpose. Weight serves a purpose. No clients serves a purpose. Having a challenging time in your business serves a purpose. It shows you problems. It shows you issues. It shows you ways that you are out of alignment with source energy and with yourself. And so then you can say, okay, so how could I get back into alignment? Usually how you can get back into alignment is the solution for the worst case scenario. So worst case scenario, you get deeper in debt, you lose your job. Okay, so how could you do that, or flip that? Well, find another job, stop spending more than what you make. Okay, actually spend less than you make so you can start paying off the debt. Call your creditors, make a payment plan. So you can start doing that now. You can get an extra job, or you can work more hours, or you can sell stuff that you have around your house. So if you gain extra weight and you turn diabetic, what would the solution for that be? Work with a dietitian, start working out. Like, these are solutions to your woes, but so many people won't address them until they flip over to that worst case scenario. Okay, let's just say that you run your own business and you are fearing that you can't pay your team. Like you've got their payrolls coming in and you can't pay your team. So what would that look like? Okay, so they would quit and then you'd have to do it yourself. Okay, so that would suck, right? So how can you work to prevent that? What can you do? Well, you can look at what you're doing and make sure that what you're sharing with the world is what your tribe needs, okay? So again, it really just depends on your goals, what you fear, what you really want. And over the last couple months, I've heard so much from so many of you, and one of the biggest things that I've heard is just fear of failure and, well, what if? And it's that going there to that worst case scenario. So right now, what I want you to do is I want you to write out what your goal is for 2019. And I want you to look at what is that worst case scenario if this does not happen. And then if that worst case scenario were to transpire, how would I get out of that? How would I move out of that worst case scenario? And then look at the best case scenario. Okay, so here's my plan for 2019, and this is me achieving it. Woohoo! Okay, so now that you have been there, done that, now create your plan to achieve your goals that you really want to achieve, if you truly want to achieve them. That's just the thing, is a lot of people set goals that they don't really want to achieve. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Bianca. Woohoo! So think about this. Really give yourself permission to create a realistic, okay, and it's interesting as a spiritual teacher saying realistic, but this is the thing, is that you have to meet yourself where you're at. And some people aren't there yet to just trust in spirit. They're not, and that's totally okay. Especially when you're running a spirit-led business. As you all know, I'm a spiritual business mentor, and I run my business with very, very spiritual-based and spiritual-based principles. And so when you are not there yet, and you're too much in the head space of your goals and of your fears, that's totally okay. Just go with what you think is realistic at this point. So realistically, what is worst case scenario? Realistically, what is best case scenario? And then create a plan of action from that. Now, if you want my help with this, if you are just like, okay, so this is where I'm at right now, and this is where I want to be by the end of the year, or even by the end of February, because it's January right now, or whenever you're watching this, because I know I'm going to be putting this all over the interwebs, whatever the end of the next month is, if you don't really know how to create that plan of action, and you're not really quite sure how to go there, and you're not quite sure how to navigate this space of fear and overwhelm, or feeling like, I'm just not quite sure how to do this, I want you to click the link below. The link below is going to bring you to a strategy session with myself. These are free sessions. I normally charge for these, but over the last couple months, I've been waiving the fee because I truly want to help you create a doable action plan. The title of this video is How to Fail to Success. This is how you do it. You go there and you fail in your mind. It's that worst case scenario, and that failure in your mind all of a sudden helps you shift into action, because most people won't change until they break. Most people won't change until they have that failure scenario, till worst case happens, and then all of a sudden, then they're forced to take action. So really give yourself permission to just say, okay, so I don't want to fail, so let's plan for that failure in advance so that then I can take more strategic action. And what this does is it allows you to take strategic action instead of action out of fear or action out of the unknown, because you haven't been there. But when you go there and see best case, worst case scenario, then you're more apt to make a more strategic, more spirit-led plan, because then you are really connected with what your true desire is. Okay? So click the link below, sign up for your free strategy session, and I will see you back here tomorrow. I love you all. Hope you have a fabulous day.